What's going on? It's Astronaut H, and this is the What More Do You Want Network. Now, in this video, I will be discussing my take or review on the Jeremy Lin documentary that HBO just recently put out, which is titled 38 in the Garden. Yeah. So, excuse me, not 38 at in the garden, but 38 at the garden. I don't know if maybe any basketball fans are watching this may have not known how big or how much Linsanity actually took the NBA world by storm. But basically, this documentary, which is only 38 minutes long, which I really thought was like a nice touch. Also, just to hear, certain people talk about how Linsanity was. They spoke to a couple fans. They spoke to Tyson Chandler. They spoke to a host of other figures in the Asian community, and of course, the man himself, Jeremy Lin. So, if anybody is familiar with Jeremy Lin's story or not, this documentary definitely gives you a take on it. It doesn't really like go in depth, but Jeremy definitely lets you know. So in the year, leading up to him actually going into the draft and pursuing basketball, I would say. So early on in his life, his mom was a piano player and his dad was a sports fan, like a go hard sports fan. Again, if you didn't see it, I would tell you to definitely tune into it because it's worth the watch if you have about roughly a half an hour to sit around and watch it. But yeah, so he ends up, going to Harvard because Harvard was a D1 school, and it was either Harvard or MIT, and his folks wanted him to actually go to MIT for engineering and things like that because, again, according to the documentary and the host of other people that's talking, and they talk about Asian athletes and Asian American athletes, they don't make it in the NBA. Seeing him go to high school and be on that team and be good enough, right, was, some people just thought that was just okay for him. He wasn't going to get past that. So he goes to Harvard and ends up being, okay, I would say, right? Okay. So fast forward to him and time for him to be drafted. His agent told him that he wasn't going to be drafted. He wasn't going to be drafted. And which that wasn't the case. He wasn't drafted at all. He ended up getting picked up and signing with the Golden State Warriors, D-League, things like that, going through the muck and the mud of a grind of a player trying to make a professional career for himself. So at this time, going through the whole motions of not being in the league, he gets a call, and it's the Knicks. Injuries are happening. If you remember around 2012 with the New York Knicks, I believe this was at a time where they did have Amari Stoudemire and they did have Carmelo Anthony, but they were battling like injuries. So, Jeremy ends up getting a call from the Knicks, and he wasn't getting no playing time at first. So Mike D'Antoni was looking for a spark. Now this is where the documentary or the story of Jeremy Lin and Linsanity begins, right? Because I don't know if people remember or if you were too ingrained, but it was hard not to be ingrained with the story. It was a feel-good story, and it didn't last that long, but it felt like it was a moment in time, not only in the NBA, but also in sports, period, because you had the likes of Barack Obama even mentioning Jeremy Lin. His jersey was sold out in a matter of moments, once his stardom arose. And it was I believe, in my opinion, it was probably the longest 3 weeks of basketball for a player. We're talking about over the stretch of Jeremy Lin being with the New York Knicks. We're talking about 7 straight wins and 10 wins out of 13 games. To somebody that went from sleeping on Landry's couch to actually being in the rotation, taking big shots, making big plays in the Garden of all places in New York City. It was hard not to pay attention to that. But one of the biggest games that happened that season with Jeremy Lin and this whole, Linsanity thing was the Lakers were coming to town. Of course, Kobe, this is the Lakers at the time. Paul Gasol, Derek Fisher, things like that, right? Meta. And you thinking, wow, okay, Kobe, they even asked Kobe before the game, who is this? Like, what are you going to do about Jeremy Lin? And Kobe is saying, in Kobe Bryant fashion, who is this guy? I don't know who you guys are talking about. I don't know anything. Fast forward to when they get on the court, Jeremy Lin says to himself in his mind, he's like, I'm just going to be super aggressive the entire game. I'm just going to be super, super aggressive. Now, mind you, before that Laker game, he had his moments where he was averaging roughly around, I believe it was in the mid-20s. So he was coming along. But that game, everything was just falling for him. Everything. He was hot. He was getting to the basket. He was underhand layups, floaters, 360 spin on Derek Fisher. I mean, if you watched it, if you didn't see it, but you look back on it, I mean, this was basically the Asian American version of Rocky Balboa. I mean, it was a feel-good story. If you heard about it, you tuned into it. If you saw it live, you couldn't believe what you were seeing, because somebody that was 6'3", and again, you would think, you see Jeremy Lin, you don't think NBA. You don't think NBA. You think tech. You think engineer. You think all these other things except for basketball player. But that particular night in the Garden, he showed not only the NBA, but actually the world, because that was one of the biggest stages. We're talking about a national broadcast game in one of the biggest arenas in basketball in the world, and he put on. We're talking about 38 points against the Lakers with Kobe Bryant. So again, that was the high of Jeremy Lin with the New York Knicks, right? But then we go to the game where they up in Toronto, and you see him hit a game winner, and he's waving people off. I mean, waving guys off to saying, no, get out the way. I'm going to take the last shot. No need for a pick and roll. That was his moment, and he took that moment and he rose in the moment. And that's what I think was the most pivotal part about Jeremy Lin's time with the New York Knicks. It was he took his moment and he ran with it. Some people shy away from the spotlight. He rose into the spotlight, which ultimately, got him a contract with like the Houston Rockets, the Los Angeles Lakers, and things like that. I mean, over the course of his NBA career, he played on several different teams and tried to make his way back into the league. But unfortunately, after his last stint, I believe, with the Toronto Raptors, his days in the NBA were basically finished. Right now, Jeremy Lin is playing over in the CBA for the Guangzhou Long Lions. I hope I said that correctly. But when I definitely look back and I think about his time with the New York Knicks, man, it was, like I said, a story of triumph, a story of trials, tribulations and things like that. But we all love a good, a good rags to riches, root for the underdog story. And that's what the 38, at the Garden is all about. And also, it definitely highlights on Asian hate in America that was going on during, especially that highlighted during the whole pandemic and what was going on, with how people were feeling and things like that. So that's also in the doc also. So definitely, if you get a chance, tune into it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about it. If you saw it, if you didn't, let me know what were you guys like tuned in to Linsanity and seeing what was going on at that particular time in basketball. I'm gonna be honest, me personally, I didn't know how long it was gonna last. So we're talking about roughly 10 years ago. So it wasn't that long ago, but it seemed like it's something that's so ingrained in my mind that I remember it happening. It's like when I remember Steph going off in the Garden, when I remember Kobe going off in the Garden. It's like when I remember Michael going off in the Garden. It's like certain things you remember where you were at and what you were doing when these pivotal moments happened in basketball, especially for me. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can know anytime a video is being uploaded to this channel. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in, listening, watching. This is Astronaut H. This is the What More Do You Want Network. I'll catch you guys on the next video.